Okay, so I've got another creative kit demo for you here, and it's going to be Lino block cuts. So Lino block cuts is a kit that I recommend for ages 10 plus, but if you take the time and you are doing it with your child or someone younger, it's totally capable. I've got my little guy carving away here beside me, and he has been doing it for a little while, so he's pretty good. And we'll show you his print as soon as we have it inked. In your kit, you're going to find a pair of lino blocks. These are an easy carve. They're more like a rubber than an actual lino, so it makes the process much easier and nicer. They can be even cut in half or cut in quarters if you want to make your own little stamps. You're also going to have a handle and 3 different cutter blades. So you can change your cutter blades by just pulling them out of the handle and then pushing them back in. Always make sure that they are in there securely and firmly, so they're not going to slip or wiggle or wobble or fall out on you. You're also going to have some printing paper to put your images on. You can turn them into cards. You can just stamp them and cut them out and put them on gift tags or into other artworks. And you're going to have some ink and an ink applicator. And I think that's it. I think that's all that's in your package there. So the other things that you may want to have are some scrap paper or a printed off image, just from Google Images or clip art, or even a coloring page works great. Print it off so it's the size of that fits to your block that you're going to be carving. And then you want to just make sure it has some pencil outlines. So I've got this raven I want to try. I haven't done a block print of a raven yet. So it is done in pencil outline. So I'm going to flip it over. If your image has any words on it, just make sure that when you're transferring your words, that your words are in reverse, because it's going to act like a mirror image. All right. Okay, so once I have that placed where I'm happy with it, I'm going to just you can take a spoon. I'm just using the back of my thumbnail and I'm pressing down just on the back of my sketch here. So all of my pencil lines are going to transfer onto my block. I'll lift it up and check. Make sure I've got them on there really good. And I can see them. There we go. So there, my image has transferred onto my block. Now, the parts that you want to carve away, that's totally up to you. In the information sheet, I go in a little bit more detail about the areas you keep and the areas you remove, the positive and negative space. So you get to decide. I always recommend starting with a smaller cutter, a smaller blade on your handle to start with. It's much easier to take more away, but you can't put anything back on. And once you are ready to go, you've got the areas you're taking away all figured out. You can even color and draw right on your block to kind of color in the areas you're keeping, so you know not to carve them away, and all the areas that you carve away won't be printed. So that can be very helpful.
My eyes hurt.
Do they? Okay. You're doing awesome, buddy. Now, when you start to carve, always make sure you follow the safety, that your opposite hand is behind the direction from which you're carving, and that you don't have to press really deep into your block at all. It is just so that you're kind of skimming and taking that top layer of block off, and you'll have like little shavings and little peelings. And you can switch out blades as you need to. It's totally up to you. So I think I'm going to get started here, and I'll just do a close up so you can see the angle of my blade and the areas I take away. So I'm ready to start, and I'm just going to start on the outside, and you're going to be able to see that I've got my my cutter and my handle at that 45-degree angle, and I'm just going to grab it and just down in that surface and just slide it along. That is it. It's just sliding it along the surface. And I can switch my my blade sizes between the small, medium, and large. So here's the bigger one, and just getting it in there and being able to slide that along. And even the different shapes. I think my so we'll have a nice little pile. I finished my Raven block here. I'll see how it is going to print. The first print that you make off of a block is an artist proof, and after that you can make changes. You can still do some carving before you print a series. So my son has printed a series and he wanted to do a turtle, so I do the turtle. He transferred it onto his block just by rubbing the design face down onto his block, and he did a series of four cards. So he's got all 4 cards here ready to send some letters to friends, and I thought that was kind of a cool project for us today. This is the ink. So the block printing ink is really sticky. It's not like paint, and it's not going to dry as quickly, so it's kind of thick, more like tar. To apply your ink to a block, you can use a foam brush or a roller, and I also have a brayer just because I have the full printing set. So the brayer is a rubber roller, and it's a little bit of an investment, but if you do a lot or plan on doing a lot, it's something that is very beneficial. So the foam brush will work really good. That's what we used for Preston's. So when picking up the ink on your foam brush, you just want to make sure that you don't have any clumps, that it's fairly thin. And I just put my ink on wax paper. If you have an old styrofoam plate or something like that, that works great too. So it's not going to absorb into the surface that you put it onto. So I'm just going to kind of keep picking up a little bit of ink. A smaller brush would have been nice, but I could only find my big foam brush. So I've got my Raven print here, and I have a pineapple print that I carved a little bit earlier on that I want to do as well. I've got some of my white, like my heavy white paper to print on here. I folded it so I could make a card, or you can also fold it and tear it along that edge there, and you can just have a couple prints. And I'm just going to drag my brush quite gently over my pineapple design, and you'll be able to get a pretty good idea of how it's going to print right away. So I'm just gonna get a little bit more ink. My block is a little bit bigger than Preston's, and I'm just going to drag my brush both directions. So up and down and across. There we go. And I take my paper and I press my paper down on top of my block. So I kind of guess where the middle is. And I just make sure you have clean hands. The ink transfers so quickly onto any surface. So I'm just going to rub gently with my whole hand. You don't want to miss an area at all, otherwise it won't transfer the ink. Okay, so there. Once you think you've got it all pressed on, then just start at one corner and then lift your print off, and there you have a block print. That turned out really good. Alrighty, now I'm going to just try my Raven here quick. And you can wash these off and save them for later and reuse them time and time again. So you can make as many as you like. You can do cards and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm just going to get a little bit more ink. I'm just using a popsicle to stick to get it out of there. And I'm still going to use my foam brush because that's what most people are going to have access to. And just slide that over there. And again, just drag your brush across your image. Even some of the application, the way it's sticking. Oh wow. This is the first time I've ever done a block print of a raven, so I'm kind of excited. They show up in my painting and my drawing, but this, oh, I want to make sure I don't have any streaks there, so I'm just gonna brush until I've got some even application of ink. What do you think, bud?
Good.
Okay, I've got my paper ready to go, and I'm just going to kind of center it. A nice even pressure all over the top of the block to transfer the ink. And there we go. I could definitely have a little bit more ink on there, but that's pretty good for the first one. Awesome. Well, good luck with your prints, and send me a message or send me a comment on Artistic Instant Studio Facebook page. I would love to see and support and encourage you in all of your creative activities. Good luck, you guys. Take care.